In tonight's headlines, gunmen storm a theater in Moscow, killing more than 100 people and wounding dozens. In Hong Kong, top government officials discussed the Article 23 legislation on a day that it took effect. And the Princess of Wales discloses that she is undergoing treatment after being diagnosed with cancer.
I underwent major abdominal.
Russia is in shock after its worst terrorist attack in decades. Gunmen armed with automatic weapons opened fire inside the Crocus City Hall on the outskirts of Moscow, killing at least 115 people and wounding more than 150. The attackers stormed the concert hall as people gathered to watch the veteran rock band picnic. The assailants threw explosives, triggering a massive blaze in the complex, which also houses a shopping mall. Many people calmly left the venue from wherever they could. But a massive fire soon engulfed the whole building, and the flames could be seen from miles away. The blaze was brought under control after nearly 6 hours, but smoke could still be seen coming out from the building as daylight broke over the Russian capital. Investigators began their work even as bodies had yet to be removed. This is a tragedy, said Andrei Vorobyev, governor of the Moscow region. The militant group Islamic State claimed responsibility. Russian security forces detained 11 suspects, including 4 who were said to be directly involved in the assault. The foreign ministry described the killings as a terrorist attack and called on all countries to condemn those responsible. The response was swift. President Xi Jinping denounced the attack and gave his support for Moscow's efforts to protect national security. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres joined in the condemnation, while British Foreign Secretary David Cameron said nothing could justify such violence. Russian President Vladimir Putin wished the injured a speedy recovery as officials awaited a statement from him. The attack came just days after he won a landslide victory in the presidential election. Sachin Katpi, Cable News.
好明顯嘅嘢要執法嘅都要去執法嘅啦，例如一啲潛逃者。
Senior government officials were busy today, taking part in talk shows as the domestic national security law went into effect. Security Chief Chris Tang and Justice Secretary Paul Lam appeared on this network's Let's Talk program. The discussions included action on national security suspects who fled the city. The new Article 23 legislation allows the government to cancel the passports and professional licenses of absconders. Tang said officials will act according to the severity of each case and reminded citizens that it is illegal to subsidize or support those who jumped bail. The Safeguarding National Security Ordinance empowers the government to make subsidiary laws when needed. But Tang assured that press freedom will not be suppressed, and there's no intention to regulate the media.
呢啲咁樣嘅事情咧，令到我成日覺得唔係淨係我個人嘅問題啊，令到即係香港所有嘅市民大眾都明白，其實我哋而家處理緊嘅所謂國家安全嘅風險咧，真係實實在在存在。
Justice Secretary Paul Lam said he's not afraid of being sanctioned by Western countries, which claimed that Article 23 undermined Hong Kong's autonomy. He accused those countries of putting things out of context and twisting facts in a malicious attempt to harm the city. Lam said his responsibility is to ensure that Hong Kongers understand potential threats to national security. In another talk show, Financial Secretary Paul Chan reiterated that Article 23 would benefit the city's investment and business environment. He said following the social unrest in 2019, the finance and business sectors are fully aware of the importance of safety and stability. Some might need further clarification about the new legislation, but Chan said many firms are interested in Hong Kong.
現實咧就做生意嘅人就好鍾意嚟香港投資，我哋見到絡繹不絕。
The financial chief shrugged off Australia's call to its citizens to exercise caution in Hong Kong, saying the city is one of the safest in the world. Chief Secretary Eric Chan said the SAR can now fully focus on developing its economy and improving people's livelihood. Hong Kong was required under the Basic Law to enact the new security legislation. This time round, the bill moved speedily through the Legislative Council, and Chief Executive John Lee signed it last night. Janice Yu, Cable News. Six months after a landslide forced its closure, the westbound lane of Yuen Road in Shau Kei Wan has reopened. Mud cascaded onto the road near Yutong Estate during the record-breaking rainfall early last September. The reopening allowed the resumption of westbound routes used by 6 buses and 1 minibus. Residents said they were relieved now that they can travel conveniently again. Repairs are continuing on the eastbound lane, which is expected to reopen by the end of June.
Messages of support have poured in for the Princess of Wales, who is undergoing preventive chemotherapy after being diagnosed with cancer.
In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. I must focus on making a full recovery. At this time, I'm also thinking of all those whose lives have been affected by cancer. For everyone facing this disease, in whatever form, please do not lose faith or hope. You are not alone.
42-year-old Katherine and her husband Prince William, the heir to the British throne, have 3 children aged 5 to 10. Her father-in-law King Charles is also being treated for cancer. After vetoing 3 previous United Nations resolutions on Gaza, the United States found its own proposal rejected in the Security Council. Russian Ambassador Vasily Nebenzia criticized the U.S. draft for failing to demand an immediate ceasefire. Instead, the document noted that it's imperative to have a truce. Moscow accused Washington of trying to hoodwink the world by pretending to be concerned about Palestinian lives. Chinese Ambassador Zhang Jun described the U.S. text as ambiguous, adding that it did not meet the expectations of the international community. China and Russia vetoed the draft.
It is one-sided, and it did not mention Israel except maybe one time, and we reject framing what is happening as a terrorism issue. It is a genocide against the entire population of the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip.
A protest march was held in the Peruvian capital, Lima, to mark World Water Day. Participants said access to water is a natural right and should not be left to private companies who charge a lot of money to make profits. Zimbabwe is among many countries struggling to get enough water. Across the globe, over 2 billion people, or a quarter of the world population, don't have safe drinking water.
Without water, there's no life. Then without water, there's no food. So water is the indispensable natural resources for sustainable development, for agriculture, for any different economic sectors.
The town of Grindavik in southwestern Iceland is on high alert again as lava from a volcano edges closer. A nearby quarry is the last hope of stopping the river of molten fluid from entering the coastal town of 3,800 people.
And this quarry has been used to gather material for the barriers here to protect the town. And then around 9 p.m. last night or something, The lava just reached this point and flowed into the quarry. This might be a place where more lava will come, and then it's quite deep, and it can probably take quite a bit of lava before it then goes further down south towards the town and the barriers.
Defensive barriers were erected around Grindavik when the volcano first erupted in December last year. Subsequent explosions damaged some buildings in the town, 50 kilometers southwest of the capital, Reykjavik.
The first Complex Con pop culture festival outside the United States is in full swing at Asia World Expo. The event, featuring concerts by artists and stalls selling over 100 trendy brands, is supported by the government's Mega Arts and Cultural Events Fund. The 3-day extravaganza began yesterday, but the official opening was held today.
So glad that you've chosen Hong Kong.
Deputy Financial Secretary Michael Wong said it was an honor for Hong Kong to be picked as host for the event's Asia debut. The event's Hong Kong partner, Stephen Wong, said as the city has been long known to be stylish and trendy, it was the perfect venue to stage Complex Con. Some visitors said although the crowds were smaller than in the US, it was an advantage.
当初在馆内，想要买东西，至少排3个小时。
I had to at least line up for 3 hours to get what I wanted in the States, but I think I'd be able to buy everything I want today, said this influencer from Taiwan. Other mega events, including Art Basel and Art Central, will be held this month. Janice Yu, Cable News.